I'm kind of over all of the things today. Well, I will say some of the reason that they've been a mess today is because we had a massive solar flare that came out and was headed this way. So there's gonna be some more. There's gonna be some more. And I don't know about you guys, if you have noticed yet, if solar flares really affect the way that you are just normally, if they affect your gifts, etc. I know they affect mine in the way that with me, it almost mimics the feeling I'm going to have before a seizure, and it's hard to explain other than that. It's just really odd. So, that being said, I'm jealous for those of you guys that said it rained today. It hasn't rained here in a while, and next week it's supposed to be over 105 every stinking day. I'm not excited. But here's the thing, and here's what we're going to do this evening, because every time I've tried to play music on here, YouTube flags me as copyright infringement. So I decided to go with some classical music. Hopefully you guys will like my choice this evening. And yes, my mods do have the link to what I'm playing if you guys are interested. I decided that if they're going to flag me for the music I'm playing, then I'm going to play classical music for villains. Am I right? Am I right? All right. So I saw some of you guys asking how my MRI went today. It went well. I actually did not panic. I gave myself a cookie because I'm proud of myself for that. And for those of you guys that did not see my video, or maybe you did see my video, I realized that it's not just the claustrophobia that makes me panic. I realized that some of it is the colors and the shapes of those colors hitting me in the face that make me really dislike MRIs. I put out a video about it because I realized that when I left, actually while I was laying there, this is one of the main reasons why I dislike them. So, yeah. Now, for those of you guys that are curious or interested of why I had an MRI, and I will be pretty open about it and document it as we go. I have a bone spur in my neck that's pressing on my left vertebral artery. So that has to be fixed because in December it was at 40%. That's why they're looking at this MRI to determine what's up. And I also have an interesting spot on my brain that they're trying to determine if it's from a seizure or a mini stroke. So, good times in the meat sack. Anyway, that being said, it's Friday. It's the Bodhiverse. We're going to talk about some shit and some stuff. If I can get this off my thing, it'd be cool. There we go. Let's talk about timelines. Let's talk about shifts. Let's talk about glitches. Let's talk about all that shit. Yes? Let's also talk about New Orleans and Oklahoma City. Yeah. First, let's talk about Indianapolis, where I am supposed to be next week. And I will let you guys know right now, you may hate me, but I will not be in Indianapolis next week due to moving with the office and some tests and some other doctor's appointments that I have. Then I will not be able to come to Indianapolis. I am so sorry, guys. I will be in Oklahoma City the very first weekend of August, the 6th and the 7th, for the Oklahoma City Horror Con. I hope you guys will come see me. I am not doing pre-planned appointments, so if you want to get a spot with me, you have to get there and get on the list pretty early. But we'll get you on the list, I promise. There are going to be some crazy, awesome horror stars there, such as the current Michael Myers, who is a good friend of mine, Mr. James Jude Courtney. And yes, I will get the video out because, thank you for the gift, love. I spoke to him and asked him if you guys asked questions and I picked the top rated question and then my favorite, if he would answer them for you guys. And he said, absolutely. So be thinking about what you would ask Michael Myers if you had the chance. And I will let you know that James is one of the more spiritual people, clients, whatever you want to call them, that I have met. He is a friend of mine. He is extremely spiritual. So what would you ask Michael Myers if you had the chance? What would you ask the actor? What would you ask the villain? What would you ask? What would you ask? So, alrighty. For those of you guys that had tickets to Indianapolis, I have either refunded you or I have sent you an email. So make sure, if you guys just had in-person tickets, I sent you an email. So please, please go and look at that. If you had tickets to the mediumship event, I have already refunded those. So thank you for the gift, love. The weekend after that, I will be in New Orleans at Hex Fest. Make sure you come see me. I mean, it's a big festival of witches. Come on now. But they do have an online version, and they have asked me to submit something. They would like me to teach a class, so we'll be doing that. Alrighty. So let's talk about timelines. Let's talk about glitches. Let's talk about multiverses. Yes? So one of the first things I want to talk about are some of the glitches. Thank you, love. And the Mandela effects. Because to me, those are the same things. If you guys think about what a glitch in a timeline is, would it not be a Mandela effect? I'm just saying. What's your opinion? Let's do a poll. You guys want to do a poll? All right. So, red is a glitch. Blue is a glitch is also a Mandela effect, or a Mandela effect can be a glitch. Red is just a glitch, is only a glitch. No Mandela effects or glitches. So, I'll explain to you my reasoning behind this. Because if you switch timelines, you're going to have more glitches. If the timeline gets jacked up, you are going to have more glitches. Thank you for all the gifts tonight, guys. If you have Mandela effects that some people remember, but some people don't, would that not be a glitch? However, let me play devil's advocate for myself. What if Mandela effects are simply the cause of somebody shifting timelines or a shift in timelines? That's why only certain people remember them, whereas a glitch is actually a breakdown in the matrix, in the timeline itself. It's multiverses. Instead of bumping together, they go like that. See what I'm saying? Could literally go either way. I tend to lean toward the side that Mandela effects are glitches, and apparently most of you guys do too, because that was a pretty overwhelming poll, like 50-4 or something like that. Like, it was pretty crazy. So I'm glad to see that somebody brought up CERN, because if you guys notice, you can go back and look at the different times that people have really noticed these Mandela effects, right? And you can pay attention and see when CERN was fired up. Now, for those of you guys that don't know what CERN does, here is CERN in a nutshell, okay? And it is way more complex than this, but this is the easiest way to understand it. What CERN does is it takes some of the smallest particles that we know of, and it slams them together at the highest possible speed that they can muster at that time to see if they can recreate what happens or happened when the universe was created, when the Big Bang happened. By slamming those particles together, they're hoping to understand the universe. I personally think that is one of the nerdiest, cool things ever. But I also see the dangers of it, okay? So every time CERN fires up, they ramp up the energy, they ramp up the particle acceleration, they ramp up all of those things for higher and higher and higher output. This is the highest that it has been. Even though CERN itself had started back up in April, just the other day, I think it was the 5th, when they got to that highest output, that's the highest it's been at so far. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the Mandela effects this time are not just small things. For example, a small thing is like the scarf on the Pillsbury Doughboy's neck, okay? Some people remember it as blue, some people remember it as white, and I've had a few people say they remembered it as red. Okay? Now, other people have said, well, this is just marketing, and when it got shifted, they changed it. Absolutely could be. I remember growing up, that bitch was blue. But other people remember it as white. Now, some of the bigger ones, however, have really started to take off. For example, I saw someone mention King Tut's headdress. This is one personally that got me hardcore because when I was younger, the King Tut exhibit came through Denver, which is where I grew up. I grew up outside of Denver. I saw that thing, pressed my face up to the glass because I was fascinated with ancient Egypt, still kind of am. There was no vulture. There was no vulture. There was no vulture. Not in my timeline. There is now. And so I saw people say, well, that's just how, movies and so on has depicted it. Why would they depict it with only a cobra if there was a vulture as well? Just saying. Now, here's another one that was brought to my attention the other day by the wonderful Sass. And this is the best way to find out about a Mandela effect, I guess, is somebody messaging you going, hey, do you remember blah? No. Here's what she asked me. And I want to know, I'll probably do another poll because I want to know how many of you guys remember this. How many of you remember learning about the Statue of Liberty being bombed in World War II? I do not. How many of y'all remember that? Okay. So, see, some of you are saying I do, some of you are saying no, etc. So, now, in this timeline, whatever this is going on, there was a railroad very close by the Statue of Liberty that was apparently bombed by German operatives, and it damaged the statue itself. Therefore, the torch and the top of the Statue of Liberty has been closed since 1916. I don't remember that. But it's a thing. And if you look it up, you'll find it. I see some of you guys' minds are blown. Mine was too. And so we looked it up, and now I do remember them redoing the torch a while back. I do remember the torch being closed in my lifetime to be redone. Not since 1916. Perfect ending right there, right? All right. It gets better. I'm sure more and more are going to pop up. So here's the thing I want to ask you guys. With this latest batch of Mandela effects, how many of you guys have noticed Mandela effects on yourself? How many of you guys have looked in the mirror within the last week or two and gone, I don't remember my jaw looking like that. I don't remember really having a widow's peak. I don't remember this. I don't remember that. How many of you have had tattoos change? How many of you have had your shoe size change? Your bra size? Your shirt size? I'm just saying. I actually have a tattoo that has changed in not one area but two. And I went back through photos on my phone and looked. And here's the kicker. I did these tattoos myself. So, I'm a bit freaked out. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. However, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When it comes to Mandela effects and timelines and glitches, they kind of all go together hand in hand. And this is why I went ahead and released those videos. There's 5 videos on TikTok for those of you guys that haven't seen them, and I will upload them to YouTube. But I did these on the 26th of June when I was in Oklahoma City. And I hesitated putting them out because they're full on down the conspiracy rabbit hole, batshit crazy. However, I've had so many people asking me lately about, or tagging me really, in videos where people are saying, oh, I feel some huge thing coming on, and welcome to the party. Some of us that have been in the spiritual community have felt this massive thing coming on for years, almost a decade. And we haven't known how to prepare for it either. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people that were my mentors that I've been around for a long time, that was way even before TikTok was a thing, before Witch Talk was a thing. where some of us had written down things that we saw either in traveling, in channeling, etc., that have come to pass. And so it makes it a little scary when you read the other things that you've written. So as far as, let's talk about timelines and multiverses. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with multiverse theories. The base of the multiverse theory is this, that there is not just the universe that we live in, that there are so many of them, and let's just say they're bubbles, okay? There are bubbles of universes that sit like this. They interlock together like this, but they don't cross. If you have glitches in the timeline, if you have shifts and so on, they're crossing. To me, this would be Mandela effects, right? So here's the other kicker, and I mentioned this in those videos too. Within the last 8 months to a year, I don't know how many of you guys have paid attention to any of the really insane, interesting sci-fi or just nerdy scientific things that have come out. Probably you haven't paid attention to them because all of these other things going on in the world. But here's the kicker. Not only has Google come out and said that they have time crystals and that they can make things jump forward in time, but NASA actually saw where two black holes collided and they could see the rip in space-time. This happened obviously billions of years ago, and the light is just reaching us. That image is just reaching us. And it happens to coincide with CERN firing up to its highest output yet. So now, not only do you have a rip in space-time, you have CERN with their highest output. You also have Google fucking with time. And I don't know how many of y'all watch Rick and Morty, but I am not down with flying testicle monsters coming to arrest us all for fucking with time. That is one of my favorite episodes, by the way. I'm just saying. So, that's all a little too coincidental for me, and I don't believe in coincidences. I'm just saying. So there's no doubt that there are all these things going on, all the Mandela effects, all the glitches. Now, I did see that there were some people putting out videos that were like, no, I always have remembered it this way. And you guys, it's just, your brain playing a trick on you or whatever. And I did see where someone pointed out to one of these creators who is one of my favorites. I watch her all the time. They posed the question to her that it's because she is still in her original timeline. And I think it kind of blew her mind a little bit. There are going to be people that are shifting through timelines as they're ascending, as they're moving forward, whatever it is you want to call it. Then there are people that are in the original timeline itself. And that's where some of us are shifting to. So here's the other interesting thing. Those people that are shifting, those people that are noticing these Mandela effects the most, are also the ones whose gifts and abilities are going through the roof. How many of you guys have noticed a change in your abilities, a change in your gifts, an uptick, losing some? I know for me, thank you for the gifts, love. I know for me, I had a few that they haven't gone away, but they've lessened back to where they were almost a decade ago. And at first that really bothered me. So I used to be able to manipulate flame and smoke like nobody's business. Smoke especially. I can barely do it now. And I got really upset at that. Now, flame, that one's coming back pretty easy. However, I was not ever, thank you for the gift, really able to work with clouds very much. Now, it's a little scary. It's a little scary. So, how many of you guys have noticed that? Or have you even paid attention? If you haven't paid attention, do so. The things that you used to be able to do, try them. See if they work the same. See if they work better. See if they don't work. And if they don't work, don't get discouraged. Try other things that you've never tried before. Whether it's smoke manipulation, flame manipulation, playing with the clouds, playing with plants, animals, etc. Thank you for the gift, love. Try those things. See what works. So here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. With everybody shifting timelines, why would you guys think that everybody is shifting to one central timeline? Why would you guys think that everybody that is waking up, that's shifting upwards, shifting through different timelines, would be converging on the same path? I like this playlist. It goes right along with what I'm saying. If everybody is shifting up to one particular timeline, one particular path, and I want you to notice this too. As you shift, as we shift, the timelines we're going through get steadily worse. They get steadily worse. I don't know about y'all, but I don't think I really want to go further because this one's getting pretty rough. We're doing so, we're gaining these gifts and abilities because there is something massive coming. There is something massive coming. For those of you guys that have never studied the Mayan prophecies, that have never studied other prophecies from around the world, there are a slew of amazing Native American prophecies, Egyptian, Norse, Asian, etc., that all talk about the end of the age of man coming back to a spiritual aspect. That man will have to make a choice if we're going to continue on the materialistic way or if we're going to get back to a spiritual path. So think about it. When you have all of these people that want to stay on this side over here with the materialistic side, and then you have all these people over here that want to get back to a spiritual path, that have been getting pulled out of this one over to here, over to this spiritual path to fix things. They're gaining abilities at amazing rates. What's going to happen when those two collide? I don't know how many of y'all saw the X-Men movies. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Exactly, the white buffalo calf. Yep. So, thank you for the gifts, guys. Y'all are too sweet. So, when it comes to timelines, when it comes to shifts, I also put out a video the other day about time witches. How many of y'all saw that? We're going to talk about the old gods here in just a minute. That is a perfect question. How many of you guys saw my video on time witches? If you guys did not, please make sure you go watch it. I will post it on YouTube as well. In fact, I may do a longer one for YouTube because, yeah. So here's the thing, guys. There are people who are already able to manipulate time. They're able to change their timeline on purpose. Now, I know some of you guys are like, okay, whatever. Go look at that video and look at the comments. I love this playlist. It's literally just lining up. But, here's the thing. There are people who are predisposed to being able to work with time. They can speed up time. They can slow down time. They can shift. They can shift the world around them. Most of the time, you find out by doing it on accident. And you wake up and you're looking at, your pictures on the wall and you're like, I do not remember that dress being pink. It was yellow. Everything else is pretty much the same except a couple tiny things. And it happens more than once, and then you realize, oh my God, I'm shifting timelines. And then you try to do it on purpose, and it works, and you get a little freaked out. That's usually what happens. But I will tell you, the thing with shifting timelines is very interesting because I had someone pose the question to me when we were talking about this last fall. They asked, thank you for the gift, love, if their husband in this timeline was their actual husband. And I said, in every timeline where you married that person, they are your husband. They're technically the same person, just multiverse sections of that soul. And they had to kind of wrap their mind around that a little bit. And it did make them a little sad because the husband that they have in the timeline now is not the original one they married. It is, but isn't. Do you see what I'm saying? See the conundrum there? So, but the thing is, it's still the same soul. It's just a version of that soul. I'll let you guys wrap your head around that for just a minute. But in shifting through these timelines, I'm curious what you guys think happens to you in the previous timeline. Do you think that other versions of you are shifting up into it? My theory personally is that as we shift, the one below us shifts behind, and so on and so on and so on. I have no idea what happens to the top one yet, or the bottom one. Or if you, when you shifted out of the very bottom one, that part of that soul, the you there, is no longer alive. But when you're shifting to timelines, I saw that somebody asked, so where do you think is the original timeline? I believe every single person that's shifting timelines right now has a different original timeline. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of us may be from the same original timeline. But for the most part, I think that everybody has their own specific starting point that they've been shifting through. So, what's interesting is, here's the question I'm going to pose to you guys, and I want you to think about this for a little bit, okay? Say every single one of us is shifting timelines, okay? We're shifting timelines. Why? Yes, it's because of these prophecies, this big collision coming, whatever it is we're shifting upwards towards. Is this enlightenment? Is this reincarnation? Somebody posed that when you hit the top, then that's rebirth to start back at the bottom. So, what do you guys think it is? Because I could see it being a conveyor belt that just shifts you up and starts you back at the bottom. So how does that explain past lives? Were those all just shifts up? Were those the beginning shifts? You can really, really screw your brain up thinking about that. So, I don't think it would go to destruction either. Someone said it won't go to destruction. I don't think it will either. So, I'm looking at the questions, scrolling by, and I love this. Someone asked if I think the old gods are coming back. So here's kind of what I think. And I know this is right. Whenever I start talking about this, it's going to seem like it's on a different subject, but just bear with me. Okay. Okay. I'm kind of that person just because I have been teaching about different religions for so long. Not teaching the religions, but I teach one class in my mentorship program it covers about 42 different religions. And they're laid out very logically in a spreadsheet. Because I want everybody to see all of the similarities between almost every single damn religion. There are a few little discrepancies here and there, but almost every single one. I am one of those people that believes that all of the God archetypes are based on the same thing. Because if you look at it, there's always one main god and one main goddess, and all of the other ones came from there. There's a hierarchy, even in Christianity. Even though man has manipulated the Bible and the stories and so on, and has erased the female counterpart. God does have a wife. There is a counterpart. There is a hierarchy. So, I am not sure quite which way I fall yet. If all of the gods over all of the different cultures are the same, and they've just translated the names different and they've shifted them to that culture, or if they're all different. And if they're all different and they're all coming back and we hit that timeline where they're there, I think that I don't even know. I don't know if we'd be fucked or if it'd be badass. But I don't really want to be caught in the middle of a war of gods. Like, it's cool in the movies, but if you guys notice, it's not the main characters that die off, really. It's usually all the people like us that are back here. I don't know if I'm cool with that. So, I'm just saying. But I do think it very interesting that as timelines are shifting, more and more people are finding some of the most amazing discoveries when it comes to ancient cultures, ancient gods, ancient civilizations, such as the river in Iran that's drying up. And when they started excavating in an area there where there used to be a city, they started hearing screams from underground. No one could survive under there. Yet there's stories throughout all the religions about angels, jinn, etc. being buried down there. Yes, look it up. It's pretty scary. It's a thing. I've noticed that the more that we shift through timelines, the more crazy these findings get. So I'm not sure that Bodhi is prepared for godly wars. Well, I don't know. But so someone else brought up aliens. I think it very interesting too that as we shift through timelines, that's becoming more and more and more a thing. And even though this has to do kind of with glitches, have you guys not noticed that over the last 20 to 30 years, we have gone through the gamut of different types of sci-fi and alien movies? Think about it. We've run the gamut, say, let's just talk about alien movies. We've run the gamut of the absolute hardcore, shit yourself, this is the worst of the worst, there is no coming back from this, such as Aliens, Prometheus, etc. And then we have things like Paul. I am totally down with the Pauls. I'm just saying. I am not so much down with the Alien or Prometheus. But think about it. They have desensitized us to all different types of aliens. Have they not? Have they not? Have they not made your imagination run wild from the fantastical, amazing types of aliens that could be out there and their technology to the absolutely horrific and what they could do to us? That was perfect timing. Did y'all see that? That was perfect timing. And I want you guys to think about what has been some of the biggest movie franchises, say within the last 10 years. Ready? Iron Man, Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, superhero movies, Superman, Batman. And now you have people, see, here's what I'm bringing it back to the timelines. You ready? And now you have people, as they're shifting, as they're ascending, as they're gaining their abilities and skills, that have insane abilities. Just saying. So, now we've been desensitized to superheroes, both gifted and mechanical, Batman, Iron Man. We've been desensitized to aliens. We've been desensitized to villains. I'm just saying. I love this. I'm going to just play this all the time. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. What do you guys think about that? We've been desensitized to all of that. Star Trek is an amazing one to bring up. Thank you for bringing up Star Trek. If you guys think about how Star Trek has desensitized us to space travel, to wormholes, to time travel, to aliens, to fantastical sci-fi things that some of us still can't wrap our heads around. Just saying. So, do we need to turn it down a little bit? Is it a little loud? Ah! It's either too loud or not on at all. I'm trying to turn it down slightly. This one's a little loud. Ooh, I think I got it. All right. So, the Matrix is another good one. Let's talk about the Matrix, because in talking about timelines and glitches, I want to talk about the Matrix and those glitches, as well as those that believe we're living in a simulation. Now, what's cool about the Matrix and the simulation theory is that there are arguments for and against it, just like there are for the multiverse and timeline shifts and so on. But with the Matrix and with glitches and a simulation, there are people that are studying this extensively right now. Even Elon Musk said that we're in a simulation. There's an amazing documentary on Netflix about it. If you guys have a chance, I would highly recommend going and watching it. I meant to pull up the name of it beforehand and did not. I'm a failure. Hi, how you doing? But there are so many people that absolutely believe that we're in a simulation. And I saw someone said that means you can change it. It does mean you can change it. So then here's my question to that. Is that what manifestation is? Are you simply changing the matrix? Are you changing the simulation? And how are you doing it? How are you doing it? What's the key to changing the simulation, to changing the coding, especially in your simulation? And in your simulation, is it like a game? Are we in a big multiplayer, an MMORPG? And in this simulation, everybody else's simulation is bubbling up against ours, i.e. the multiverse theory? Think about that one for a minute. If we're all in a simulation, we all have our own simulations, and they're butting up against everybody else's simulations, would that not be where the glitches come from? Because there are too many of us that are realizing how to change our simulations. And in changing our simulations, now we're making the multiverses collide. I'm just saying. Just saying. So, what kind of questions do you guys have about all of this stuff now that everyone's brain is melting? And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to have the answers to everything, or even the majority of it. But that's a great question. Who's controlling all of it? Aliens? Gods? Are the gods aliens? If you guys ever fall down the ancient aliens rabbit hole, if you need something to binge that will really blow your mind, I highly recommend that. Just saying. I wish I knew what the cheat codes were. I wish I knew what the cheat codes were, because I would change the meat sack. I obviously chose a faulty one, and I need to know where I go to, revamp it, where I go to level up my meat sack. Because it has to be like Grand Theft Auto, right? Where you can go and can I just like whack someone in the head and take their meat sack? Like, how does this work? Like, that's what I need to know. That's what I need to know. But, so, Great question. If you change it, how are you able to bring your family or have the same people around you? So here is one of the theories on that. This is my theory. In every timeline, you have some of the same people around you. You have the same souls that rotate around you in every timeline. Your kids in this timeline are your kids in other timelines. However, I have seen some people say on that Time Witch video I posted that they were walking around telling people they had 4 kids when in fact they only have 3. But they knew the name, the birthday, everything of the 4th kid. So, also, how many of you guys, within the last 2 years especially, have had some of your best friends, spouses, family, people that were your absolute rocks? You guys were never going to be apart. You now are no longer in each other's lives. You don't even talk to each other. You haven't seen each other in a long time. Months, years. Did you shift up to the point that you left them behind? They're still in this timeline, but you had to leave them behind because the timeline you were shifting to doesn't have the 2 of you together in it. I'm just saying. Almost everybody I was close to in 2014, aside from my children, my sister and my dad, are no longer here. Or we really don't. My friend line has shifted crazily. I still have a small handful of people that are around me still. I would bet you guys are in the same boat. Is level up becoming a better version of yourself? I would say yes. I would say yes. Because as you level up, as you go through these ascension periods, these shifts, whatever it is, think about where your mind is. Think about where you are spiritually. Are you the same person you were 2 years ago? And not just I have a better job or have a different job or, you know what I mean? I live in a different place. I'm dating somebody different. Not just that. Where are you up here? Where are you up here? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you look at pictures of yourself from a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, and not recognize yourself? And not just because you've gotten older or your physical appearance has changed. When you look at videos of yourself, pictures of yourself on Facebook or whatever, do you recognize yourself? Or do you look at that person and go, I don't know who that is. I've looked at pictures of myself as a kid here in the last 6-7 months. I don't remember taking those pictures, nor do I even recognize who that is. My sister had to tell me that was me. So, yeah, just saying. Just saying. So, what other kind of questions do we have, guys? Especially about all of this stuff, because I can talk about this all night. I know that I just bombarded you guys with information and your brains are probably melting. Just saying, I love this music. I love this music. A lot of people have had people come up to them randomly that knew them personally and they have no idea who that person is. You would not believe how many times I've heard that in the past 8-9 months from clients. Yeah. Oh, how much do I spend on crystals? Don't embarrass me like that. I have a problem. So, I'm sad that I won't be in India as well, guys, but I have to cancel, so yeah. So here's what's interesting about the hieroglyphs. Someone asked about that. Let's talk about some of the different ancient languages and so on. If you guys don't know, there are some random monuments all over the world, but a lot here in the US that are written in several different languages that talk about prophecies, that talk about how to rebuild the world, that talk about the end of the world, etc. that have gotten damaged, bombed, torn down, and nobody knows how or who. And some of these different monuments and so on, no one even knows who built them. Such as the one in Georgia. I know you guys have probably seen or heard about that one. The Georgia Guidestones were a set of 8 different massive stone tablets written in 8 different languages that mysteriously got damaged. They were bombed a couple of weeks ago. No one knows who did it, but yet they saw a car speeding away. No one got the license plate. And now that particular one is gone. Did you guys know that there is also a unique exhibit in front of the CIA that is, I don't remember if it's 4 or 8 different messages that were put there in the 90s, and only one of them has been decoded? One. Did you guys know that there are other things all over the world that talk about interesting changes that suddenly are no longer there? Think about during the Iraq wars. Think about during ISIS's rampage through the Middle East. How many temples were burned? How many things destroyed? Some of those temples held papyruses that are millennia old, centuries old, and now they're gone. And now that they're gone, what kind of information would that have helped us with? I'm just saying. How many secrets destroyed? Exactly. Throughout time, you can actually look back through history and see where the earth has gone through some massive shifts. And usually when those massive shifts happen, information, particular information, is destroyed. So, such as Ptolemy's library being burned. A few things made it out of there. So, I'm just saying. Yeah. I did see someone mention the oceans. That's another amazing thing, because this has always been a question of mine. If we have put people on the moon, if we had sent astronauts into space under unknown conditions, they have survived and they have come home. Why haven't we explored the oceans? When we know the conditions, we know the pressure, we know how to measure it. I'm just saying. And I will tell you too, if you guys have not noticed as well, there are some interesting animals suddenly appearing in the oceans. I had a news story come across my phone just this morning about a rare shark that was spotted on the East Coast. That is some species of shark that is one of the fastest ever, and it's so rare. This is like one of the only actual spottings of it. Where did that bitch come from? I'm just saying, where did that bitch come from? The Bermuda Triangle is a great topic to bring up because it fits in with all of this. Everybody as a kid usually gets fascinated with the Bermuda Triangle because it's fascinating and it's terrifying. And because no one knows what's happened to those ships, those planes, those people, your mind can kind of go rampant with it. Did they get put into a different timeline? A different dimension? Did they just poof out of existence? Do they still exist somewhere? Are they on a different planet? If you guys really go back through and look at how many people, planes, boats, etc. have gone missing just in the Bermuda Triangle, it's almost mind-boggling. And there are places like that all over the world. And if you look at certain areas of the world that have very high incidence of cryptids, and how many people disappeared there, it's also mind-boggling. So, just thinking. You can blow your own brain, I'm just saying. Yep. Somebody mentioned the prime minister is resigning and so on. Did you guys know that this is something I pointed out in my videos as well, talking about the different shifts that the earth has gone through ascension-wise? Did you guys know that with all the stuff going on in the US, most people have no idea that there are 7 different countries around the world that have had their leadership ousted in military coups? Just saying. Just saying. I'm sure there's a lot more coming too, and I don't even know what to expect or how to prepare for it. And so here's the thing too. People are always asking me and other spiritual people that I know, how do you prepare? How do you prepare? How do you prepare? So here's the thing. Here's what I tell people. Everybody has something in their gut that tells them, you need to do this now. Start learning this, start growing this, start whatever. Trust that. Trust it. If something is telling you to buy some land outside of a city, grow your shit, get off the grid, do it. If something is telling you to move into the city, to study herbalism or holistics or whatever, do it. If something in your gut is pulling you to do something because you know that some huge shift is coming, now, don't do it at the cost of your health. Don't do it at the cost of your family, etc. However, if you're being pulled to do something, thank you, love. If you're being pulled to do something that you feel in your gut is important that you learn, you need to do it. You need to do it. So, yeah. What other kind of questions do we have, guys? I'm going to leave this open. I'm going to leave this open for about another 20-30 minutes and we'll just chat. I know that I threw a lot at you guys and we didn't just like go down the wormhole, like we head dove down the wormhole. Portals to other dimensions. I think that is fantastic. That's a great question. So, as you guys know, there are different areas of the world that are said to have portals in them, around them, etc. Sedona is one of the more famous ones and so on. There are a whole bunch of different theories around what those are. I've been to a few of them. I have not been to Sedona yet. We'll be going next month. But I've been to a few of them in Colorado, in Arkansas. For me, what I personally have experienced is an energy shift. An energy shift. I've noticed that there are a few of them that drain the energy, and there are a few of them that are overwhelmingly putting it out. Does that make sense? And I have a feeling that the ones in Sedona are like that. They put the energy out. You can feel it. So, I saw people asking about the pyramids. I'm not sure what I believe about the pyramids because I don't think anybody knows. I really don't. I don't think anybody knows. And I do love Ancient Aliens, and I have watched all of them at this point, probably multiple times. The way that they're supposed to have been built, I just don't see that being a thing. That would take so much manpower. And there's even some aspects of that that they still can't explain how they did certain things. I believe that there was help in making the pyramids. I don't believe they were done the way they think they were done. However, that being said, I don't think we know what the pyramids actually are. I don't think we know. And I think when it comes to the time that we find out, I'm not quite sure if that is something that I will be apprehensive about or excited about. I'm just saying. So I saw that they're missing their capstones. I also, and I'm sure you guys may have seen this as well, saw where the Sphinx's eyes are now closed. I remember them being open my whole life, and suddenly they're closed. And I know that people in Egypt were flocking to go and look. So, yeah. But, I'm not quite sure what I think about the pyramids. And that thing goes along, the pyramids go along with Stonehenge. They go along with a lot of the ancient temples in India. So they go along with a lot of the ones in South America, etc. Roanoke is also another one I saw somebody bring up, where randomly whole civilizations have disappeared with food still on the table. So one of my favorite books is Phantoms by Dean Koontz. Not just because I like Dean Koontz and I love horror novels, but in that book, and the book is so much better than the movie, even though the movie is fantastic, don't get me wrong. In the book, he talks about the being behind those disappearances called the ancient enemy. If you guys have never read the book or listened to it on Audible or whatever, oh, I highly recommend it, okay? Just for that theory and those things alone, it's amazing. So it goes through the theory behind that thing, that being, etc. I have heard that there is a theory about the Sphinx being the guardian. Not just the guardian of the zodiac and so on, but the guardian of humans, the guardian of the pyramids. There's all kinds of theories about the Sphinx. So the Sphinx is also right up there along with the pyramids. I don't think anybody really knows what the Sphinx is. So what do I think about the caves that are so deep we can't explore? I don't think those things are to be fucked with. So I grew up with a dad who was a spelunker, and growing up in Colorado, we were always going into caves. And when I look back, I think how damn dangerous that was for my dad to take two young kids in caves that he had no idea what was in there. But I have been in more than my share of caves. And I will tell you that there is some that I have been in that when you go inside, you instantly feel wrong. You instantly feel wrong. And my dad also was a big preacher on trust your gut, trust your gut, trust your gut. And so if we ever went to a cave, or if he ever went into a cave with a buddy and felt like he didn't need to be there, he left and did not go back. I am that person that believes there's a lot of things here on earth that we have no fucking idea are there. And I know people say, oh, well, we've explored so much that there's no way that there could be cryptids. Oh, yes, there are. Oh, yes, there are. If you guys have never watched Destination Truth or Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates, you're missing out. Go fucking binge watch them. They're fantastic. But he does, in almost every episode of those, talk about different cryptids and so on. And there is an episode where he goes to Madagascar to look for this massive white bat. And while they don't find the bat itself, they find a lot of evidence of that bat. They also have one where they're in Nepal and they find footprints, things like that. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic show. I would love to just sit and talk to Josh Gates just about the shit that he's experienced that was never put on camera. I would love to sit and pick his brain about that. So, I absolutely believe that there are things all over the world that we haven't explored yet. We have no idea that they're there. I am a firm believer that there are probably things deep in caves that we don't want to know about. Same with the bottom of the ocean. So, I agree with that. Someone said the world is older than we know, and we can't, we have no idea. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. If you guys look at the ancient Sumerians and the Anunnaki, you can absolutely fall down that rabbit hole too. But the Anunnaki is one of the main reasons why I believe that every religion has the same hierarchy of gods, just with different names. Because if you look at the hierarchy of the Anunnaki, they were the first race of gods that were here, that were said to have made man, made civilization, etc. And if you look at the creation story in the Bible, it mirrors the Anunnaki story almost perfectly, all the way down to the Great Flood. Because with the Anunnaki, they got so upset with the way that the humans were going that they decided they were going to leave. Well, in leaving, one of them decided to stay here because he was going to unalive all of the humans. Another one decided to stay to ensure he didn't do that. He did flood the earth and unalived most of the humans, just like in the Great Flood and the story of Noah and the Ark. There are so many similarities, and you're right, every major religion has a Great Flood story. I believe wholeheartedly that that happened. I think it's just all which God takes credit for it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, all religion shows their higher being descending to earth on a day of light. They do. They absolutely do. So the other thing that cracks me up too is that when we talk about Christianity especially, one of the things that makes me very, very sad is that Christianity has been warped, and the Bible and stuff has been warped so much for marketing purposes that the richness of the stories behind it, a lot of it has been lost. And it makes me very sad. For those of you guys that have never watched one of my lives, or you don't know about this, this about me, I've been a writer since '96, and in that time, I've discovered I have a very odd talent for taking extremely old English. And I'm not talking about just thee, they, thou shalt, blah, blah, blah. Not just that. Like super old English that like there's not a word for some of the words kind of thing. And translating it into modern English. In doing that, I have done a lot of projects for organizations all over the world that have been in translating some of these scrolls, papyrus, etc., that have a very ancient form of English on them. So, unfortunately, I have seen and read a lot of things that the Bible has completely wrong. And it makes me very sad. So, it's hard for me to trust anything written about anything just because I know the things that I have been paid to write. So, yeah, there you go. What other kind of questions do we have, guys? About anything. Let's just open it up. About anything. So if you guys didn't know, there are 40-something, 50-something versions of the Bible. The one that has the most books in it, that is probably the closest to being the original Bible, is the Ethiopian Bible. I do write poetry. If you guys would like to read some of said poetry, I think that I have it on my website, but I don't remember. In fact, during COVID, during the shutdown, I wrote 4 poetry books. They are on Amazon. They are underneath MD Weems, and I will put that on my site. In another lifetime, that's who I was. So yeah. So I am not super familiar with Skinwalker Ranch. I have watched documentaries and things like that, but I don't know enough about it to have an opinion one way or the other. I do firmly believe in skinwalkers. And I grew up with a dad who is Potawatomi, and that's the term, you know, the terms that he used and stuff as well. But I will say, I absolutely believe in them. I absolutely believe in them. Area 51 is interesting too. Not just Area 51, but Cheyenne Mountain and some of the other things like that. There are a few different military installations that have intensely secret things behind them that I think I don't think there is any specific person in the government or the military that knows what's going on at all of them. I just don't see it. So let's see here. I saw a question and then it went. Okay. That's what I was going to answer is Cold Flamingo Chris's question. How do you ethically source magical ingredients? So what kind of magical ingredients are we speaking about? Because there are a whole bunch of different ones. So let's talk about herbs. If you guys are out and about, foraging and you're wanting to forage some herbs, what I normally do is I will pay attention to how large the plant is. I am that person that kind of asks for permission, and I take what the plant allows me to take, but I don't take usually more than like a fourth, because I don't want to damage the plant so much that it can't regenerate itself. Chances are if you're out foraging, you're going to find multiple plants, so you can take just a little bit from each one. What I do is I bring them home and lay them out, or I put them in a dehydrator. I just got a new dehydrator and I'm really excited. When it comes to animal parts, if you're out foraging, scavenging, and you're out in the woods or something, you're probably going to come across bones and so on. That to me is being ethically sourced. Now, I do have a friend who owns a taxidermist shop up in Seattle. And what's interesting is they started off being taxidermy for hunters and things like that. And they have morphed into being a roadkill stop. So they have some of the weirdest things. Which makes me happy because I usually can get them for, I can get a lot of weird shit. Because they know that I use those things in practice, in religious things and so on. I know a lot of people that scavenge roadkill as well. It is not for the squeamish. I can no longer do it. I'm just saying, I can no longer do it. But that to me is ethically sourcing things as well. So I have a little bit of a different view on hunting and stuff than I think a lot of spiritual people do. And it's because of how I grew up. So I grew up with a dad, like I said, who was Potawatomi. When I was 8, 9 years old, I knew how to go out into the woods and gather the ingredients I needed to make my own bow and arrow, down to the string. I also knew how to shoot it very well. And so my dad taught us that if you kill an animal, you are to use every single part of it. Period. Every single part of it. You eat the meat. You use the hide. You use the sinew. You use the bones. You use the fur. You use every part of it. So that's how I was raised. So we had neighbors who were Mormon, and they had tons of boys. And every year they would go up into the mountains and they would hunt, and they would go elk hunting. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with elk. They are fucking huge, and their meat is fantastic. If you guys ever have the chance to try elk and you like steak, it's the best steak. It's so good. It's kind of sweet. It's just so good. But one of the things that I loved about that, my dad would trade them for hides, for meat, for whatever. My dad's a master gunsmith, so he would repair their weapons and they would trade out. My dad also would visit some of the local reservations, and he would do the same thing. He would fix their guns, their weapons. He would, whatever, go out, hang out, and they would trade I am a huge fan of trading, trust me. I love to trade some shit. He would come home with trash bags full of buffalo jerky, of bones. I remember one time he came home with 14 buffalo hides. I thought my mom was going to shit, but it was cool. We got to lay on a bed of 14 buffalo hides. Like, it was like 4 foot tall. Like, things like that. He would come home with all kinds of weird stuff. That's how I grew up, with weird stuff, with scavenging bones. Like, we always were bringing home bones and so on. So I also learned that every animal has a meaning. Every animal has a meaning. So I have friends that are hunters, and they're Native American, especially living here in Oklahoma. I have friends all over the place that they hunt, they use the meat and so on, and they know that I will use the bones, I will use the claws, I will use all of the parts that they're not using for something else. And so I usually get a bunch of weird shit. But every single animal has a meaning and a purpose. And that meaning and that purpose is transferred through their bones, their fur, their horns, etc., into a working. So one of the things that I've got to get back on the site, I just got a box of weird shit in from my friend. I always carry weird bones. I see someone just asked, do you sell bones? I always carry weird bones. I just got in a whole bunch of turtle, bobcat, muskrat. I don't know what else is in there. All kinds of weird things. But one of the things that I always carry is rattlesnake rib bones. First of all, rattlesnakes have a fuck ton of them. Second of all, rattlesnake rib bones are used for 2 specific purposes. They can be used, well, 3. They can be used as the snake aspect, as in rebirth, reclaiming something, or they can be used to break a hex or a curse, or they can be used to cast one. So they're very, very interesting. So yeah, if you guys find a snake and you scavenge bones or skin or shed or whatever, that is used in rebirth spells. It's also used to find out who the snake in the situation is. So yeah, you guys can I highly recommend scavenging. Seriously, it's fantastic, the things you can find. And yes, I do have some bones. I'm not sure what is on the website now, but I have a whole bunch more to add. When we get moved to the shop here in the next couple weeks, I will know exactly what I have, and I will have a whole bunch more on the website. So yes. The rattle from rattlesnakes was put on things, and it's still very highly sought after. Yes. Who taught me all of this, or am I self-taught? So the vast majority of it I learned growing up. Like I said, I grew up with a dad who's Potawatomi, and my mom practiced a very interesting mix of American folk magic. So I grew up in a very interesting way. I was taught to fully appreciate and learn about every other culture I could. My parents were big time activists in different diversity cultures in Colorado, here in Oklahoma, etc. So I grew up appreciating every other culture out there and learning about it. So yeah. And then of course a lot of it in the adult part of me is I sought out classes. I have taken so many classes in my life. I love it. I hold over, I think I have 56 certifications at this point in all kinds of different shit. So yeah. That's how I learned all of this. It's a mix of growing up this way and learning it myself. I was also lucky to find some mentors along the way too. So yeah. I have pretty much been practicing magic all my life. All my life. So, yeah. That's how I learned that. What other questions do we have, guys? Do I do spells for people? I do. I do some of them. There are some that I will not do. I will not do love spells, guys. If you guys would like me to do a working for you, there is a page on my website under services where you can order one. But yeah, love spells are something that I don't touch, and I know there are some practitioners that do. Here is the reason why I don't touch them, and this is why a lot of actual practitioners, very skilled practitioners, will not do them, because you are messing with free will. In doing a love spell, unless it's for self-love, unless it's for self-confidence, I'm happy to do those. However, when it comes to doing a love spell on someone else, yes, you can manipulate their free will. Yes, you can bring someone back together. Yes, you can cause this person to fall in love with you. It's not going to last. It's not going to last. And it's going to explode in a very violent fashion. And the whole time that person is with you, you're going to be the one that erodes the relationship within yourself, because it's going to be in the back of your mind, are they with me because they actually love me, or are they with me because of that spell work? I never, ever, ever recommend nor do love spells that are against someone's free will. Now, I will do workings for people for here's what I say when I'm doing anything at all that has to do with the relationship, is what's in both of their highest goods. If it's in both of the people's highest good for them to come back together, that is exactly what will happen. If it's in their highest good for them to split apart, that is what will happen. And this is what I explain to any of my clients, that I always put that into any working. Okay. So yes. Now, that's a good one. Someone said, what about bringing true love into their life? I am happy to do a working for that, because kind of pushing it along a little bit is not working against someone's free will. If you are just asking for them to find the person that they need to be with, the person that belongs in their life at that moment, all that is kind of shining a big spotlight on you for that person. Yeah. So, is manifesting someone messing with their free will? I don't believe so, because when you're manifesting, you're going to bring the thing to you that you're manifesting. Now, I know that sounded weird when I said that, because I'm trying to figure out the right words here. My words are like bleh. When you're manifesting something, especially if you're manifesting a person to come into your life, you're not specifically working on one person. Does that make sense? You're not specifically saying, I want Joe over there to be with me. You're saying, I would like this person with these traits. Or I would like a person with these traits, with these things. That's what you're bringing to you. So you're not technically working on someone's free will. Does that make sense? You're simply telling the universe, this is what I would like. You will meet who you are supposed to. Exactly. So yeah. What about helping a marriage grow stronger? That is what I was talking about in doing workings for relationships. In doing a working for a relationship, I always put the clause in there, whatever is in both of their highest good. Because I will tell you guys that I was married for a very long time, and I stayed because I can't give you a reason now. At the time, I had 50 reasons. I knew for 10 years that I needed to leave. I knew before that, but I knew for 10 years that I didn't need to be there. And I still stayed. And yes, there were times I did candle workings to strengthen things and to fix things and so on. And I never said, for whatever's in my highest good and his highest good and my kid's highest good. And so I stayed. and stayed until the universe finally said, look, you stubborn ass, I'm done with this. Here you go. Here you go. So yeah. So yeah. Hi, how are you, Miss Brienne? I've missed you too, love. Meditation is hard. How do you access your abilities without it? So here's what I would say to that. You're meditating incorrectly for your brain. Guys, not everybody is going to be able to sit down and just close their eyes and meditate. I only can every now and then. The way that our brains work in modern society, we have to have our hands and part of our brain occupied on something else. So think about the thing that you love to do that allows you to just check out and your brain drifts, okay? Whether it's drawing, whether it's cooking, whether it's driving, whether it's playing golf, and it allows your brain to drift. That's your meditation. That's your meditation. Here's what I recommend. Find that thing, say it's drawing, and have a voice recorder there with you. For those of you guys that have Apple phones, Siri is great for that. And record it. Record what comes into your mind. Because if you have to stop and break your concentration and write something down, you just cut all of that off, right? So, there you go. Can you accidentally manifest hurting someone in your dreams? I don't know quite about dreams. Those are two different things. But you can absolutely manifest hurting somebody. You can absolutely manifest it. You can manifest hurting yourself. Now, in dreams, that's more of, you get into more of a clairvoyant aspect or more of a dream walking aspect. So it's kind of two different things. So, why would you hear someone call your name when something is about to happen? I would say that that is a spirit guide getting your attention before something major happens. So I hope that you pay attention to that when it happens. Finally sat down and meditated while taking a bath, and it felt like I was seeing my birth. I could absolutely see that, especially if you're in the bath. Well, for those of you guys that are having problems with it glitching or freezing, just know that I am streaming this live on YouTube as well, so you can go and watch it at any time. And if you guys missed any part of this, same thing. You can go and watch all of it where we talked about shifts and timelines and glitches and Mandela effects and just blew everybody's brain up right off the bat. Right off the bat. So, did you see my question about the MRI magnet? I did not. I did not. When I'm lucid dreaming, could I be astral projecting? No. Lucid dreaming and astral projection are two different things. Lucid dreaming is being able to be in a situation and actually change something in the situation. Like if I am in my bed asleep and I astral project to come in here and I pick up my pranite tower and I move it over here, that is not astral projection. That is lucid dreaming. Because in astral projection, you cannot pick something up. You cannot manipulate something. So that was kind of a trick question. Not the best way to explain it. I'm sorry. But yes, astral projection and lucid dreaming are two different things. So with lucid dreaming, you also know that you're dreaming and you know that your brain can shift and change whatever it is in the dream. So I do have a mentorship program, guys, if you're interested. I film every Wednesday live classes. You can come to the class and watch it. And then everything is recorded along with a crap ton of supplemental information. It's on my website. It is a whopping $35 a month. I teach people all over the world, and I have taught people all over the world for a long time. So yeah. How do you know the difference? Oh, hang on. How do I know the difference? I can't shape my surroundings in astral projections. So in astral projection, what astral projection is, and if you guys missed last week, we talked about astral projection and astral travel on the Bodhiverse, and that is on YouTube. What astral projection is you leaving your body to go somewhere here on this physical plane. Okay, so it's like you getting up out of bed to come in here into the kitchen. You can't shift anything, you can't move anything. What astral projection is for is basically to watch, to learn, to do something else, but you can't physically change anything. Okay, but astral travel is you actually leaving this plane of existence and going to another one to gain information, etc. When it comes to lucid dreaming, that is you staying in bed, staying in your body, staying in your brain, and being able to manipulate your dream. So what about deja vu? So there's two different things with deja vu. Scientifically, deja vu is classified as a seizure type of temporal lobe epilepsy. It is a type of focal seizure. So is Jamus vu, which is completely being disconnected from your surroundings. Sitting in your living room and suddenly not knowing where you are is Jamus vu. Now, spiritually, most people say deja vu is a form of clairvoyance, where you know something is about to happen. The problem with deja vu is that a lot of times you don't know what's going to happen until you're in the moment and you're like, oh no, I know some shit's going to happen. So yeah. Can other people see you when you astral project or astral travel? No. When you astral travel, you don't stay here. You go to a different plane of existence. So the things there you can see and interact with and so on. When you astral project, sometimes cats will see you, dogs will see you, smell you, things like that. Animals can kind of sense a little differently than humans can, but that's about it, yeah. I'm looking at all these questions. You guys are awesome. Can you communicate with people while you're projecting? Usually not. Usually not. Can you manipulate lucid dreaming of a clairvoyant event? Lucid dreaming and clairvoyant dreams are two different things. Lucid dreams are when you realize you're dreaming and you realize you can change your dream. Clairvoyant dreams are hyper realistic and you cannot change them in the dream. Now, I personally think you can bring that knowledge back and then change it in the real world. For example, you can tell the person that the dream was about, hey, if you go here on this day, you're going to get a car accident. So, there you go. So, there you go. Clairvoyant dreams usually do happen. Sorry, I'm reading comments, I geek myself. Where would you learn to astral project? You can do this on your own. There are some fantastic guided meditations on YouTube. Here's what I recommend though, okay? When you guys are learning to astral project, don't start off trying to go to Hawaii. Don't start off trying to go to the Amazon, okay? Start off trying to go to your living room. Here's why. First, if you start off trying to go to Hawaii, someplace you've never been, you don't know how to get to, you don't know what to expect, etc., you will fail and you will be disappointed and you will stop trying. Second, going somewhere you know, such as your living room, is so much easier and safer. Because even when you're astral projecting, you can go too far. Even when you're astral projecting, you can cause damage to yourself. So start little, start small. Just like when you were a kid, you had to learn to rock on your tummy before you can get up and crawl. It's exactly the same. Thank you for the gifts, love. It's exactly the same. And I will tell you this too. The first time that you astral project, and you get up out of bed and you turn around and look and you're laying there in bed, you're going to be so excited that you're almost going to shit cookies and you're going to wake yourself up. It happens to everybody. So just know it's going to happen. It happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. Okay. And then you can go a little further and further and further. Astral projecting is leaving your body while you're in a state of meditation. So yeah. Can you get lost while astral projecting? You can. You will always come back to yourself. I know people are like, oh, well, you can die or whatever. I have never heard of that. And really, if you were to die, how would someone know if you were astral projecting? You know what I mean? You can get lost, but the thing is, you can also wake yourself up and you're going to snap right back. So yeah. What was that question? Hang on. Weather simulation, manipulation thoughts. Ooh, now we're really getting into some good stuff. So I firmly believe that I'm a big believer in energy. I'm a big believer in energy manipulation. I can do it very easily. You guys have never watched me on Sunday or Thursday with doing Reiki, etc. Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. So I'm also a big believer in frequencies and electromagnetic fields, all of those things, and just the little tiny things a single human can do is amazing. And so if you think of that on a large scale, I absolutely believe that some people, some companies, businesses, governments, whatever, machines can absolutely manipulate those things. Yeah. Do you believe our souls choose our biological parents? Yes and no. I believe that we're given a few to choose from. This life, this life, this life, this life. And you have to pick one of those ones that you're given, because you have, say you have those 4 lessons that you have to learn still. So it's like, all right, these are the 4 you got left. Which one you want? So yeah. Is the third eye magnetic? I'm not sure I buy into that, because I know way too many people who I have known for a very long time and their third eye is extremely strong, that have tried that trend of sticking something on their head to see if their third eye is magnetic, and it's not. I also know that people have different levels of iron and things like that in their body. Just like whenever people are saying that, you know, the COVID shot was magnetic, I know people who were able to get stuff, you know, to stick to their arm, and I know people who weren't. So I don't think it has to do with that in particular, with the third eye being open or shut. So yeah. What time is it, guys? Let's see here. 9:30. Well, that being said, I have been talking straight for an hour and a half. So I think I am going to get off of here. I do have class first thing in the morning. And don't forget, tomorrow night, guys, a certain sasshole talked me into getting rid of some art pieces that I have stacked up back there, as well as some other things. So if you guys did not get any of the deities on my last live show, know that I will have some deities and some very interesting orgonite tomorrow evening. I will see you guys there. Yeah. So let me stop YouTube here. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. I truly appreciate it.